Atheists tell me miracles don't happen, but I know that they do happen because even I was able to get a girlfriend. Hey guys, welcome back to KingdomCraft, where I build this big church in Minecraft while I talk about Christianity. Today's topic isn't a Christian theology topic, but it is still relevant to Christianity because Christianity is relevant to all areas of life. It's not just one part of our life. Christ is Lord of all. Coram Deo, as they say in Latin. So, today I'm going to be talking about how to get a good girlfriend. Not just how to get any girlfriend, but how to get a good girlfriend. Because in the modern day, what we have is hookup culture, where everyone just wants the quickest, cheapest high they can possibly get, but no one ends up finding anyone good to date. And I honestly think hookup culture hurts men and women equally, even if in different ways. So, but today, I'm not going to be talking about that. I'm not going to be talking about how to just meet someone or how to have some cheap thrill. I'm going to be talking about how to get a good girlfriend. Now, for me, there's a little bit of a dilemma here because right now I'm sort of a Minecraft YouTuber and I'm running a Minecraft server now. I've just gotten a lot of these people to join my Minecraft world and build churches with me. But I was never able to get any girlfriends until I temporarily stopped playing Minecraft in high school. So as much as Minecraft is amazing, the first step is you need to do more with your life than just video games. That's the first thing. Like, video games are really good for guys to socialize with each other. I know there's some girls who play video games, but generally it's guys that play video games. But video game addiction is a real problem amongst men. There's a lot of things men are addicted to that are really not good. So the first thing to do, if you want to just try and improve yourself first before trying to get a girlfriend, the first thing to do is try and manage your addictions. It's okay to play video games. Obviously, I'd be the biggest hypocrite if I told you in a Minecraft video to stop playing video games. But if you're addicted to video games, that's not good. And a lot of times, men are programmed with a desire for adventure. And that's why women are attracted to men, because women want someone who can, like, provide for them. But what video games can often do is it satisfies men's desire for adventure, so they don't actually try to make anything of themselves in the real world. So if you guys who are on my server are watching this, just manage your time and make sure you don't play on the server so much that you're not doing other things with your life. Because I don't want to be responsible for someone spending their entire life on video games. Video games is a nice social thing, but it should never be a substitute for the real world. Just like I'm having a bunch of people build these churches in my Minecraft world, but it is in no way a substitute for the real world. And let me just show you some of these churches real quick. Here's some that I really wanted to show in my last video, but I didn't get a chance to. So, I have different towns for different denominations. My church is in the Presbyterian town because I'm Presbyterian, but this is the Puritan Congregationalist town called Sovereign Town. So, this is my little Puritan sort of Congregationalist symbol. And let's see, this is Jeremiah Burroughs Congregationalist Chapel, a true church of gospel peace. I'm the resurrection and the life. Okay, this is a really nice place. This does look like a lot of the UCC churches I've been to. It's funny because the UCC is now a liberal denomination, but it was once the Puritans, which are like the most conservative Christians. So make the UCC Puritan again. So maybe I'll talk about getting girlfriends from this preacher. This pulpit. Sorry. So yeah, as fun as Minecraft church is, it is not a substitute for going to real church. This Sunday, if you're watching this and you want to follow Jesus, you need to go to church. You need to go to real church. Online church doesn't count. This is just a means of representing the beauty of church, but this is not a substitute for church. And likewise, Minecraft is a very good social event, but it's not a substitute for having a social life in real life. And a lot of men avoid having a social life in real life because their video game communities and Discord servers or like a substitute. Okay, this is Redeeming Grace Meeting House. Okay, this is like very Congregationalist style. I love this. Looks exactly like certain Congregationalist churches I've been to. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit as the covenantal sign. This is the baptismal font. Very Puritan theology of baptism here. And where the word of God is preached in the sacraments, rightly administered, we preach the gospel of Jesus. Okay, this is epic. This is an epic Puritan Congregationalist church. I love this. I feel like I'm in First Church in Oberlin. That's the first like Congregationalist church I went to, and I was saved back at a summer camp in Oberlin. Anyway, and honestly, no, actually, why don't I talk about that? because the reason a lot of people get girlfriends at summer camps, which happened to me, is because at summer camp you're sort of forced to socialize. And the reason I said video games can be a bit of a risk is because socializing is the number one most important thing for getting a girlfriend. And that leads me into my next point. I am saying this from the pulpit. Some people think this is controversial, but the friend zone is a myth. In reality, you want to be best friends with a girl before you start dating her. Um, Girls are not like sexual objects that you can choose purely based on looking at her. You need to be her best friend first, because like a good romantic relationship should have all the same kinds of intimacy that a good friendship has. So it needs to start out as a friendship. So I know that like some people get rejected and are told that they're just friends or something. So I'm not saying the idea of the friend zone is completely ridiculous, but what I am saying is that being friends with a girl you like is not a bad thing. Oftentimes you need to be friends to see if you really like her or not, or if your liking of her is just superficial. You need to really like her as a friend before you can really know if you like her as more than that. And especially for girls, um, her friend gives her a chance to know who you really are. And that leads me into my second point. And this is probably the biggest piece of advice I can give to other guys for getting girlfriends. This will work like magic if you implement it. Actually, I have a few points. So I already told you about like be her friend first. That's the first point. But the second point is learn how to be a good listener. The vast majority of guys have the emotional intelligence of a toaster. And girls know that. I've heard that in conversations, girls play chess and boys play checkers. Um, Girls know that when they're talking to most guys, they have to sort of simplify what they say, like sort of as if they're talking to a child. And I know it sounds kind of like bigoted against men, but it's true that it is true. It is true. Girls have higher emotional intelligence than men. That's just biology. Same way men are physically stronger, and women are more socially complex. I'm not saying socially smart. I don't know if that's even a thing, but socially complex. And women know that generally speaking, men don't listen to them. But another reason why girls often like talking to guys is because guys don't have drama to the same extent that girls have. I know guys do have drama, but everyone knows it's not the same thing as what girls do. Girls often want to hang out with guys because there's less drama. So if you know how to be a good listener and you know how to listen to girls talking about their feelings, that will work like magic. It doesn't matter how ugly you are. Honestly, I've seen guys that look like Chernobyl victims and still manage to get really pretty girls because they're either funny or they're a good listener. So looks don't matter honestly all that much for guys. It's like they do matter, but if you're a good listener, it'll compensate for whatever bad looks you have. Like in high school, I was not a looker. It's like my acne was so bad, my face looked like a crime scene. But I did learn how to become a good listener. Honestly, being a running my Minecraft server in middle school. This was before this was a Christian server. This was before I was Christian. Running my Minecraft server in middle school helped me to be a good listener because I had to solve a lot of disputes between angry 10-year-olds on my Minecraft server. So that actually kind of helped. And speaking of which, I'm going to go to the oldest town, the oldest city in my Minecraft server. And a lot of these buildings were built back when I was in, like that one building was built back when I was in middle school. There were a lot of other people on the server, and that building is also where a big fight took place that I had to settle. There was once an entire civil war here when I was in 7th grade. But that's a story for another time. Anyway, so this is also the Catholic town, so the churches that are built in this city, Manplatin, are the Catholic churches. So yeah, be a good listener. And here's my next point. So you want to become friends with a girl before that you become. Someone's asking what's the video about. I'm gonna say how to get a good girlfriend. Okay, I said that you should become friends with a girl, but that's not very easy for a lot of guys. For whatever reason, um, I've always been better at making friends with girls than with guys, and it wasn't until I got to college that the majority of my friends were guys. Right now, I would say 80% of my friends are guys and 20% are girls. But for most of my life before college, the majority of my friends were actually girls. But it's not easy for a lot of guys to make friends with girls because I said there's a Men and women are very different socially. Like, that's why I reject the whole idea that gender is a social construct. Because in middle school, for example, every time there's an assembly, the boys sit on one side and the girls sit on the other side. No one tells them to do that. It just happens. That's why I reject both, like, feminism and, like, the radical, like, trad patriarchy values, because some people say you need to enforce gender differences and some people say you need to break down gender differences. What I say is you don't need to do either. Gender differences just exist, and if you do nothing, they'll just sort themselves out naturally. I don't think we need to enforce gender differences. I don't think we should challenge gender differences. I think we should just recognize them as part of nature. Because it is part of nature, and everyone knows it. Even those who say they deny it, they still know it on the inside. So that's total BS. Anyway, okay, this is a nice, like, natural-looking church. When I last visited this town, I was kind of disappointed because there weren't many, like, good-looking... I mean, at all. There weren't many Catholic churches being built at all. But now people have started to build some really cool stuff. So that's cool. Anyway, so yeah, the 3 points I've said so far is be friends with a girl and before you try to, like, ask her out or something. And the second point is to be a good listener. And then later in this video, I'll talk about how to ask out a girl well and what not to do. Okay? But the third point that I was about to get to is if you want to just get a girlfriend, if you don't have anyone specific in mind, but if you want to get better with girls, just make a practice of making female friends, not necessarily to date them, just to learn how to be friends with girls for when you do meet a girl that you want to date. And another reason it's good to have a lot of female friends is so that through them you can meet other girls who you might like. A lot of basically, now that I think about it, every single time I actually was able to start dating a girl, people who were mutual friends of us, like her friends who were also my friends, helped me in order to do that because they were acting as really good mediators. So, like, they say you should have a wingman, but wingmen aren't that useful. Wing women are extremely useful in getting a girlfriend. So that's what you need. You need to learn how to be friends with girls in a normal way. And the biggest example of this is with me and my girlfriend right now. So my girlfriend and I have been together almost 3 years now. She's known as the future Mrs. Zoomer on Instagram. And we met thanks to who is called Redeem Zoomer Third Wheel on Instagram. She was my girlfriend's friend, and she randomly discovered my account. This was my personal account, not my Zoomer account. I didn't really have my Zoomer account back then. But she discovered my personal account, and she thought I would be a good boyfriend for her friend. So my girlfriend invited me to her Zoom Bible study. This was during COVID in 2020, and that's how we met. So in almost every case, it's always good to just learn to be friends with girls in general. Then it's also good to learn to be friends with the girl you want to date specifically. And in order to do that, it really helps to become a good listener. So now I've told you just the very broad strategies on how to get a girlfriend. Now let's talk about what not to do. So, generally speaking, if you're gonna ask out a girl, you need to not be weird about it. Now, like, there's a lot of terms that Gen Z uses, like sliding into DMs or stuff, and a lot of guys do it in the most creepy and off-putting ways. So you don't want to slide into someone's DMs. What you want to do is you want to get to know a girl as a friend first, and don't just, like, pretend to be a friend with an ulterior motive. Actually become her friend to see if you actually like her or not. It may appear that you like her on the outside, but you need to know if you like her on the inside as well. So you need to learn to be friends with the girl first. So that would automatically rule out just sending explicit messages, or maybe not explicit, but sending, like, flirtatious messages to a girl you barely know. So yeah, never send like flirtatious messages, or never use, like, pickup lines or anything like that. Because what that's going to do is that's going to scare away the girls with good values, and it's going to attract the girls with bad values. Also, never first approach a girl by commenting on her looks. I would avoid commenting on the looks of any girl who is not your girlfriend. In general, just because there's so much, like, concern with a lot of guys who are creepy and who are going to ask for, like, a hookup or ask for nudes or something, I would just completely avoid commenting on any woman's looks ever. There's no harm in doing that, and there's a lot of harm potentially in not doing that. So you never want to do that. Also, I really shouldn't have to say this, but I guess I do. If a girl rejects you and says she's not interested, game over. That's rule number one. That's the golden rule. You can pursue as hard as you can, but if she rejects you, if she makes it clear she's not interested, that's it. You're not gonna keep trying, and it's best to just leave her alone. Sometimes says we can still be friends, and if you want to still be friends with her just as friends, then cool, you do that. But if she says that, don't be friends with her only so that you can maybe hopefully one day win her over as well. Because girls can really spot when you're being creepy about that, and they're just gonna be creeped out by you. So you don't want to do that. So yeah, that is the golden rule. Is that if you're rejected, game over. I've been rejected a lot of times, and yes, I know it sucks, but you got to play by the rules because if you want a girl that has good values, and there's a real shortage of girls with good values these days, just like there's a shortage of guys with good values these days. You want to play by the rules. Now, another thing is, I know a lot of guys who say sort of like fantasize about having a traditional Christian girlfriend, but such guys often don't make attempts to be a traditional Christian guy themselves. Like at college, I was talking to some guy who was like, "Yeah, man, I want a trad Christian girl," and I was like, "Well, do you go to church? No. Do you pray? No. Do you read your Bible? No." I was like, "Don't you go out like partying every weekend?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "So shouldn't you not do those things if you want a Christian girlfriend?" And he was like, "But it's college." It's like, yes, yes, I know it's college, but if you want a girl that has good values, you need to have good values yourself. Now, I'm not diminishing the experiences of a lot of guys who really do have good values and are completely unable to find traditional girls, but they are out there. You just need to put yourself out there. And a lot of guys are just antisocial, but if you put yourself out there, the more you just make friends with people in general, the better chances you have. Because I was always kind of a weird dude in high school, especially middle school, but even high school, and I still magically managed to get it. So I shouldn't say get it. Girls are not a commodity, but you know what I mean. Okay, so another thing to avoid doing when trying to talk to a girl is don't make yourself sound stupid. Um, what I mean by that is a lot of guys say sort of dumb sounding things like they'll just randomly text a girl WYD, which stands for "What are you doing?" Um, you should text in complete sentences. Girls don't like guys who are stupid. Um, they also don't like guys who seem like lazy and who don't take care of themselves. So if you should not, if you want to have a girl with good principles and good values, don't dress sloppily. Don't have sloppy hair. I know there's like a new Gen Z hairstyle that's like the broccoli hair, is what I call it. I'm sorry if some of you guys have that hair. I can't stand it. It just embodies the Gen Z spirit of I don't care about anything, man. And if you want a girl who goes against the grain of Gen Z, if you want a girl who does not have the values that most of Gen Z has, you're going to have to not look like the rest of Gen Z. You're going to have to. There's a lot of different styles you could have, and I am completely uneducated on fashion or anything of the sort. So I'm not someone to be specific, but you're going to need to look like you take care of yourself. And you're going to need to not come across as lazy. Now, Gen Z guys are not necessarily lazy just because they struggle in school. I fully understand that school is rigged against boys. School favors, like at least, normal public school favors things like being organized, being neat, and being quiet, which girls are just naturally better at. And school punishes things like ambition and creativity, which guys are naturally better at. Um, so, like, I know that there are a lot of very creative girls, but I think there's a reason that like Minecraft is mostly guys. Um, Guys generally want to sort of pave their own way a bit more, and girls are better more at like following directions. And school completely shuns anyone who tries to pave their own way. School is just all about following directions. It's not even about how much you learn. It's just about how carefully you can follow the directions of an assignment. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But yeah, my point is to come across as taking care of yourself, you don't need to necessarily be a five-star student because I know like You don't need to be a 20 highlighter girl. 20 highlighter girls are those girls with like 20 different color highlighters who are always super neat and their class notes look like you could publish them in an art gallery. You know the type I'm talking about. And they always get like an A plus on every assignment, not because they're necessarily the smartest, but just because they're good at memorizing things and following directions. So yeah, they're called 20 highlighter girls. That should be an officially coined term on Urban Dictionary. If no one's made that, you should make it. But yeah, you don't need to be a 20 highlighter girl, but you need to come across as somewhat smart and sophisticated. Like I know that everyone has different like natural abilities, but a lot of guys, for whatever reason, try to make themselves sound stupid because they think it's cool to just like I don't know, wear oversized hoodies and vape and have sloppy hair. That's going to attract bad girls. You don't want to attract bad girls. You want to attract girls that have good values. And now the last thing, I've talked about what you should do to sort of make yourself a good guy and to the good strategies. But now let's talk about which girls you should go for and which girls you should avoid. So, some red flags to look out for when trying to find a good girlfriend is if she posts too many pictures of herself on social media, especially if those pics look like they are intended to be provocative and revealing. Like, I'm sorry, if she has 50 bikini pics on Instagram, you should stay away because now girls don't necessarily post those things to attract guys. It's often to compete with other girls more than it is to attract guys. A lot of girls, they want guys to be attracted to them even if they're not attracted to those guys. They just want affirmation, really. Often that comes from having a bad relationship with their father and they just need some sort of male affirmation. So that leads me to my next red flag. Whatever girl you're considering dating, check to see how good a relationship she has with her father. If she doesn't have a good relationship with her father, you probably need to stay away. Now there's some cases where it's like it's not her fault, but even so, even if it's not her fault, even if she's not doing anything intentionally wrong, girls that don't have a good relationship with their fathers will often try and like use their boyfriend as a therapist or as like an emotional affirmation support machine. And eventually that just makes the relationship very unhealthy. So the two red flags that you need to look out for is make sure she doesn't seem like a narcissist on social media, make sure she doesn't have a bad relationship with her father. And I'd say the third thing, now if she like doesn't have a father, that's different, but like especially it's even worse if she has a bad relationship with her father. The third thing I would say to look out for is obviously you don't want to date a girl that supports left-wing values. Now, unless you're a guy that has left-wing values, but I'm guessing the majority of you guys who are watching this video and taking advice from me, like don't. So actually, I guess I should rephrase this point. Make sure that this girl's religion and religious values are identical to yours, or not. If not identical, then as close as possible. So I'm guessing some of you guys might not be Christians, but you might watch my video hoping you can learn something from this. So here's what I'll tell you. If you're a Christian, you need to date a girl who's a Christian. If you're an atheist, you need to date a girl who's an atheist. If you're like not necessarily religious but have conservative values, you need to date a girl who's not necessarily religious but has conservative values. If you're Jewish, you need to date a girl who's Jewish. If you're Muslim, you need to date a girl who's Muslim. Religion holds society together more than anything else, more than politics, more than ethnicity, more than anything. Religion is at the core of society. And let me show you guys something. Let me prove this using Minecraft. Sorry, it's /warp. I was concerned when I set up these places. These are mining lands. These are rogue places where anyone can build and break freely. I was worried this would automatically get griefed. But because most people are Christian here, magically, somehow, this place has turned into a whole civilization where people are working hard together and helping each other. This proves religion is the bedrock of society. And the basis for society, the base units of society are families, families made of a mother and a father. And that's what, of course, dating is practiced for. So you need to date someone who has the exact same religious values as you. So if you're a Christian but you're a liberal Christian, you need to date a liberal Christian. If you're a conservative Christian, you need to date a conservative Christian. These values are things to talk about like in the first week of dating. A lot of people say you shouldn't talk about politics and religion early in a relationship. that is the stupidest advice I've ever heard. Because if you're eventually going to date and marry this person, it's going to come up at some point or another. And you need to have the same values as the person you're with, or it's going to make things very awkward. And honestly, I think that if there is any disagreement, it's best if it's the girl that's slightly more conservative than the guy. Because if it's the other way around, it makes the relationship kind of awkward. Because then you have like, if the wife is more feminist than the husband, or the girlfriend is more feminist than the boyfriend, that makes the dynamic a bit awkward. So like, I'm great. Like, I don't agree with my girlfriend on everything. We agree on like 99% of things. We agree on everything theologically. We agree on all religious values. There's some slight details of certain issues that we're not fully agreed on, or we do agree, we just have slightly different emphases. So I'm really happy that my girlfriend is a little bit more conservative than I am. Like, she's part of the PCA, Presbyterian Church in America. I'm part of the PCUSA. Now, I am very, very conservative as far as the PCUSA goes, because it's a liberal denomination. But for example, like, she's more firmly against female pastors than I am. Like, I'm against female pastors as well, but now I used to be totally egalitarian. She convinced me that female pastors shouldn't like happen. But I'm still not quite as against it as she is. I see it as the wrong thing to do, but not the end of the world. Whereas she says she would like never go to a church that has a female pastor. And I don't necessarily agree with her on this, but I'm glad that when we have a disagreement, she's usually more conservative than me. But the point is, regardless of that, you need to basically have the same values for the most part. Um, and now some people ask, okay, what if we're both Christian, but we're like different denominations? So it just depends on how compatible those denominations are with each other. So it needs to be such that you could go to church together if you were to get married, because couples that pray together stay together. There's some statistic that like the divorce rate for couples that pray together regularly was like 1%. It was amazing. And once again, this proves that religion is the bedrock of society. We need religion for society to be stable. And this Minecraft server is proof of that. Look how everyone's getting along here. This is anyone could grief this theoretically. And like there was like one troll who tried to come in and grief it, but we banned him. And like here's a giant Christ the Redeemer statue. And even though I'm an iconoclast, I still love this. And there's like free food everywhere, and everyone's replanting. And looks like there's another church over there. It's great. So different denominations. Can you date someone of a different denomination? Yeah, you could. I mean, technically, my girlfriend and I are different denominations of Presbyterian, but we both have the same religious priorities. We both want a traditional form of Presbyterian, and we're both willing to go to the other's denomination if the specific church has what we both value. So a common problem in PCA churches is not being traditional enough, and a common problem in PCUSA churches is not being conservative enough. So we both want a church that's both traditional and conservative, regardless if it's in the PCUSA, PCA, or something else like Eco, which is also really good. So before I met my girlfriend, I asked like, okay, what's the threshold for how different a girl could be from me theologically? It needs to be a denomination that my denomination wouldn't consider heterodox. Heterodox means we're still part of the same religion, but not in ways that are compatible. So from a Presbyterian perspective, Baptists are heterodox because they don't believe in the sacraments the way we do. They believe the sacraments are just symbols and they don't baptize infants. Like, I could never date a Baptist, even though I love my Baptist brothers and sisters in Christ, and I'll pray with them, I'll worship with them, but I could not actually date one, even if, like, theoretically, I could not date a Baptist, because dating is practice for marriage. You should never date someone who you wouldn't hypothetically marry. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. You should never date someone you wouldn't hypothetically marry. And if you're going to marry someone, you're going to have kids. Are you going to baptize the kids? If one person's Presbyterian and another person's Baptist, one person's going to have to choose between like their spouse and their religious beliefs. And you never should have to do that. So yeah, we consider Baptists to be heterodox. We also consider Roman Catholics to be heterodox because they consider everyone who's not them to be heterodox. They say they're the one true church. And honestly, if you are Catholic, even though I'm not Catholic, if you are Catholic, you should want your kids to be raised in the one true church. Like, if I was Catholic, now, I believe the one true church is just the Christian church. I would not be okay with my kids not being raised in the Christian church. So if you're a Catholic and you think the Catholic Church is the one true church, you're not being a good Catholic if you're cool with your kids not being raised Catholic. I think the Catholic Church says intermarriage is okay if and only if the kids are still going to be raised Catholic or something like that. But they changed the rule. The Catholic Church often changes the rules and then pretends they don't. I'm sorry. I'm slipping my Protestantism in here. But yeah, you need to date someone whose denominations are compatible. So do I need to date someone who's a Presbyterian? I mean, I'm not dating anyone who's not my girlfriend. I don't plan to for the rest of my life. So, but let's say just hypothetically, I could date someone who's Lutheran or Anglican, Episcopalian, Dutch Reformed, those other classical Protestant traditions that might not be exactly the same as Presbyterian, but still, like nothing's like they don't believe anything Presbyterians would consider to be heterodox. But no, I could not date a Baptist, a Catholic, or an Eastern Orthodox girl. And if you're Catholic, I don't expect you to want to date Protestants like me because you should follow your own religious beliefs. I would rather someone follow the distinctives of a denomination that's not mine than just be completely apathetic to like denominational differences because trying to simplify Christianity and like gospel reductionism is kind of what made a lot of the churches go liberal in the first place. Okay, last thing is dating is practice for marriage. You should never date someone that you are definitely not going to marry. And I've done that in the past. It always ended up being a disaster. And one time, like, I was trying to just date this girl temporarily at a summer camp, and our mutual friend sabotaged the relationship. And I was like, dude, why'd you do that? And he said, well, it's not a Christian thing to date temporarily. I don't want her to get hurt. And I was like, yeah, you're actually right, bro. And he's still a good friend of mine to this day. So one of my best friends intentionally sabotaged a relationship that I was in because it was sinful. Sinful in that it was meant to be temporary. Of course, we didn't do anything like too naughty, but actually we didn't do anything at all. It was like, but the point is, it was sinful because it was meant to be temporary, and romantic relationships, are never intended to be temporary. Of course, a lot of times couples break up like before marriage, and that's fine because dating is basically just testing for marriage to see if you guys like each other. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Now, once you're married, marriage is for life. Marriage is a bond instituted by God. It's a covenant that you can't break. But dating is not a covenant. Dating is just practice. When I say practice, you don't do marriage things when you're dating. But dating is just to see if you guys like each other enough to get married. So yeah, you should never date someone you can't see yourself marrying. Okay, guys, that's about it for this video. I hope I gave you some good advice on how to get a girlfriend, and not just any girlfriend, but a good girlfriend. I hope you can take some advice for this video, and for those of you who are lonely, I'll be praying for you. Godspeed.